Today is Friday, June 30th, 2017, and this is Generally Trivial.
Welcome to Generally Trivial, a conversation on the lighter side of current events.
Hello and welcome back to Generally Trivial, where we're going to take a walk on the lighter side of current events. I'm Jeff, one of the hosts here, and today with me I have Ray Ortega.
Hey Jeff, nice to be on the line, so to speak, I guess.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You know, we're going podcast studio to podcast studio.
That's right, a double-ender. No, that's going to sound weird to people who don't produce podcasts or radio, but that's what we're doing.
So, speaking of podcast studio, why? What does that hold in significance to you?
Well, that would be the title of, I guess, my first show about podcasting, which is The Podcasters Studio. And it's a show, basically, how to podcast. But I think I have more than one how to podcast show. I've had 3. One is no longer being produced, Podcast Quick Tips. And, of course, I've got the Roundtable, which is the most steady of the shows, I would say.
And all of them provide a lot of great insight. For all you listening who are interested in a show, Ray is the guy to listen to. He helped me get this show started. I went back and listened to a lot of his old episodes. I started with 1, although I think now you don't recommend starting with episode 1.
Right, it's just way too old at this point. But, well, I have it covered. So hopefully by the time you hear this, probably not, but coming up, it's already recorded and edited. So episode 101, known as 101, is actually going to be a 101. So it's going to be literally the complete guide for how do you start a podcast. Now, obviously, there are 100 episodes before that. There's a whole bunch to know, but the key is to actually get you started, and that will be the whole purpose of that episode. So it'll be the most up-to-date information for getting started.
That's awesome. And we definitely could use some more people starting shows because a lot of people have something to say.
For sure. And it's not difficult. And I'm not even saying that from a, hey, it's easy if your quality sucks. It's just easy and you can sound good. So that's really the point of what I do, is to try to get people started. If those people have something to say, or they just want to do it because they listen to this show and they say, well, that's cool. They're having a lot of fun. I want to do that. So get started. Work a little bit on your, like anything you're going to work on, put a little effort into it to make it nice, and then get out there and have fun.
Absolutely. And we are going to have a little fun by heading into Did You Hear?
Hey.
Did you hear?
Did you hear about this one?
Did you hear?
Did you hear about this one?
Ray, do you ever get tired of some of the laws and customs you deal with where you're at?
Laws and well, I work from home, so I don't interact with the general public that often. So besides getting in my car and having to, those laws pretty much keep me alive. So not too often.
Well, I know a lot of people, can get annoyed at some of the, the smaller detail things. But imagine not just dealing with some of the minor annoyances of, where you live and in one country. But imagine dealing with this in a part of 2 countries. There's a home from 1782 that's for sale that's actually in between both Canada and the United States. So you're actually, the home is in both nations.
That's perfect because, if you're a U.S. resident right now, a lot of us want to sort of just slide over to Canada for about 4 years, and then we can just come right back to the other side of our house.
Yeah. I'd really want to know how they handle taxes. But this home, it's pretty nice. It's got 1950s decor, which if you are into that sort of thing, could be great.
Well, it's back now. It's Mad Men and retro and mid-century modern. It's all, I guess that's more 60s, but it's back.
Yeah, I feel like I'd want to do kind of a bed and breakfast kind of thing if I'm opening that up. It's you're going to have some odd taxes, but it could be cool. It's actually got armed 24-hour security provided by both Canada and the United States. And it's almost 7,000 square feet.
Wait, this is the weirdest part of the story. There's armed security. What is this place? Why do I need armed security?
The story I was looking at didn't really specify why that was, but it's almost, like I said, almost 7,000 square feet, and it is set up in apartments. So that's why I was saying, a bed and breakfast might be kind of cool. I would probably try to get it thematically, since it's kind of got an older theme. I'd probably call it A Tale of Two Cities, and kind of open up a bed and breakfast that way. Between Quebec and Vermont is where it's actually sitting at. But I just thought it was interesting because it's for sale right now for about $110,000, which really is not that much money for 5 apartments. So it's needing a lot of work. They're estimating about $600,000 you'd need to put into it.
Yeah, that's it becomes very affordable to unaffordable. But if you turn it around and rent them out, yeah, you have something going there. But that is very interesting. I've been, on the state line before and stood in 2 places, or even 4 if you're in the right part of the U.S. But I never pondered living in 2 places at the same time.
Yeah, there's a spot down south where you can see like 7 states from one standing rock.
Nice.
And they've got the lines spread out across that rock where you can actually, here you're looking at Alabama, and here you're looking at, I don't remember all the 7 states, but it was pretty cool when I was there.
So you could have a lot of fun. You you could step into each state, sort of do whatever's legal there, and then back out and go in the other state. do what's legal there or not legal.
Yeah. I think I'd almost do that deal where people try to get multiple pizza companies on the phone together and pit them against each other. Maybe you could do that with a police force from each side of the country there. Like something that's illegal on one side but not the other.
Right. We're probably going to get fined just for talking about it.
All right, Ray, what do you have for us today?
I mean, I have funny and not funny, but I pulled up an article here. It says, well, actually, I'm going to go with the theme of us, back to that whole double-ender thing. We're in different locations in the country. And you don't know that. It sounds like we're in the same studio if you're listening to this. But just recently, I'm in California, Northern California. There were 28 earthquakes. Was this today? Like 28? June 27th. 28 earthquakes near basically Reno, Tahoe area. One was it was 3.9, which is, that one you can actually feel. I imagine a lot of the others are just tiny little earthquakes that you may or may not feel. But it made me think, first of all, that's just crazy that it's that many, but it's California, and I've grown up with earthquakes and never really been that scared of them, even though I went through the big Loma Prieta one where the freeway collapsed and part of the Bay Bridge, going from Oakland, San Francisco collapsed, and it was crazy. But I was curious, for you, where you live, what is your natural disaster that you have? Almost everyone has a natural disaster, and where could you not live because of its natural disaster?
We don't deal with a lot. We had flooding a few years ago, but nothing real bad. Probably the closest thing that would be any consistent threat would be tornadoes, although that's usually more a few states away, but we definitely have them here.
Yeah, tornadoes. Yeah, I haven't lived anywhere where there's been tornadoes, and that one is equally scary. I guess the whole, you don't know, or maybe it's better with an earthquake. You really don't know until it happens. Have you ever been in an earthquake?
Yes, a very, very small one. Honestly, when I first woke up, I thought this was still when I was living with my mom. I thought she was trying to get me up and was like shaking
Nice.
on the door. It was that small of an earthquake, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it freaks some people. I mean, they literally build San Francisco on springs, right, where the building sways back and forth, so that it doesn't basically fall apart in an earthquake. So I don't know. That just happened today, and I thought, that's pretty unique. And I guess there's plenty of parts of the country. I was in D.C. and we actually had an earthquake, and it really took a long time for me to figure out what was going on, because my first thought was, well, first of all, like, what is going on outside that's making that sound? Because you can hear them if they're big enough before they even hit, and you hear a rumble. And then, especially if you're a podcaster, you catch that low end rumble. But, my first thought was, wait, am I in California? Like, I really almost didn't even know where I lived for a moment because it made sense there. It did not make sense in DC. And it freaked everyone else out because they're not used to that on the East Coast, but it does happen.
Yeah, I've always been kind of afraid of the big one because I watched videos. Other than that, small one I mentioned, I've not been in one, but I watched videos when I was young, and they tell us that there's a fault line near where we're at that's like due for one, but just
due like in the next 100 years, what that means, right? Yeah, I mean, we've grown up on natural disaster movies, so pick the one, and you've been terrified by it for sure.
I really just hope that whenever that actually happens, that The Rock is within striking distance of me, because I'll be safe. All right, we have Ray on here, and Ray is a podcast expert. And we, at Generally Trivial, are odd news experts. So we wanted to marry the two and find out, after we showed him some odd news stories, how viable a podcast based on these would be. Are you ready for this, Ray?
I am ready. I think.
All right, we'll let you give it a 1 to 5, on 5 being the most likely to stay as a show. What do they say? Past episode 7 is when it's...
Yeah, that's the general... I'm going to use the title here. That's generally... I'm going with the branding. That's generally the advice. It's like 50% of podcasts basically don't exist after episode 7, or they don't make it to episode 7. People, you get 5 episodes in because those are easy to do. You're excited. And then, the 7th week in a row hits and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to do this thing again. So a lot of people, they leave after that. So.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little bit easier being fortnightly.
Yes. And
stressful.
Maybe the only other US-based show that uses that term like I do on the Roundtable.
All right, our first story is about a gentleman who loves Disneyland. Now, lots of people, they love Disneyland, but very few enjoy it as much as Jeff writes. He's a 44-year-old guy, Air Force veteran, who has been visiting Disney resorts every day for the last 2,000 days. So... basically 5 years going every single day, at least briefly visiting a Disney resort. And he says he still can't get enough. So we're going to pitch a podcast, basically him using a walk-up interview style where he's just got iPhone headphones in and he walks up and interviews other Disneyland patrons. How likely do you think that is? What are your thoughts on a show like that?
I'm giving that a 5 because to me it's a slam dunk. This one is, would that be Space Jam? I think that was a Disney movie with Michael Jordan. But yeah, it's a total slam dunk because Disney, people who love Disney really love Disney. And there are several, I think there's quite a few Disney podcasts that do really well. So he has a very unique position in that he's at the park every single day. So trying to just make that interesting alone, I think is enough of a challenge to make people tune in. But I'm saying that the Disney fan base is just probably that strong to keep a podcast like that going. Although I would say, you say his name was Jeff? Is this you? It's not you? Okay, it's not you. All right. So I would ironically encourage Jeff to make that turn into a vlogger instead of a podcaster, because I think a vlogging YouTube channel would crush. That would be so much better in terms of, I think you could get more numbers and you can make it even more interesting. It's totally visual, but I'm a YouTube guy as much as I'm a podcaster. So I would push for a vlog on this one. But if he makes it a podcast, when you say Jeff loves Disney, I usually can stop right there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to have to let Jeff know that that's what he needs to be doing.
Well, he's, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's too busy. But yes, if he just puts a microphone and a recorder in his hand, he's good.
Our next story is about women who are looking to marry into some money, which may not be the most romantic way to go about things, but sometimes these women need a hand, and now they can rely on the services of Madame Rhea. She is a seduction expert who claims to have dated 5,000 wealthy men. She's offering an online course, so she's trying to help out like-minded women find the rich foreigner of their dreams. So how viable do you think it would be for a podcast where she gives out her tips on how to find rich men?
Right. I think the pool is hopefully pretty small, so that one's a tougher sell. And, I don't know, making an income from that's going to be tough because these people are looking for someone else who has money, I guess. So you're not gonna survive that way. But any podcast that's really niche, speaks to a really small audience, even if that turns into a small audience, 100 listeners, it's all going to be, if that's enough for you, then you'll keep going. So I don't know. It's a tough one. It feels so superficial that you don't want to say that's going to be a hit. And I haven't really met anyone like that, at least that I know of, right? You don't know. But I have Kanye or whoever, Gold Digger, coming in my mind as a soundtrack. Too bad we can't play licensed music here because this would be great music bed for podcasts. But yeah, I don't know, maybe a 2. I mean, these are really tough because again, it just matters if you're going to start it and you have the desire to go past that episode 7, you stick around, I guess how successful will it be? Again, that's a subjective term. Really small audience, but people like relationship tips, and everyone has different types of relationships. So she could probably keep doing it. I just think the audience would be pretty small.
I think I agree with you. And I can't say whether I've met a woman like that or not either, but I'm pretty sure even if I did, I would never know because I don't have a bankroll high enough that it...
you don't know unless you're rich, I guess. Or you make it clear that you're not, and then she takes off. So, and in that case, you are so much better off.
Oh, yes. I'm very happy with my current lady.
I hope she listens to the podcast.
Yes, she does. She's been on a few times.
Nice.
Our next show is a gentleman who is an imposter. But I think sometimes that might help out. It might make for entertaining storytelling. It's a 57-year-old Italian guy, and his name is yet to be released. But he called himself the Imperial and Royal Highness Stefan Cernetic, Hereditary Prince of Montenegro, Serbia, and Albania. So, for years, this dude pretended to be part of the Montenegrin royal family. Traveled all around Europe in a black Mercedes with the flags of the country on it. And went to galas and meetings and all kinds of things with these actual royal people. And they just took him, for granted. They thought he was actually legit. So we want to know if it's, a memoir style show where he tells about his adventures while contrasting that with his new life behind bars.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, a podcast from jail, that's already interesting. In this day and age of story-based podcasts, the NPR style, Missing Richard Simmons and Serial and all those S-Town, this would have been fantastic, right, as a real-time thing. But, told well, people are going to be very interested in the stories and the things he saw. Probably... it could be a 3, could be a little higher. It has interest. It's probably going to make you click play to figure out if you want to listen. It's got to really knock it out of the park in the beginning of that first episode. But it's intriguing, to say the least. So I would give it at least a 3, and it has definitely some potential if it's done well enough. And hey, he's got all the time he needs to make it great. And I'm sure there's a quiet part of the prison where he can get that done. What I should have done on this segment is made you come up with titles to these podcasts. That's even more interesting.
That would be pretty tough. I would listen. I would click subscribe, at least initially. And most of the time, if I want to try a show, I just go ahead and click subscribe and then just unsubscribe if I'm not going to keep listening. But I'd definitely try that out.
Where do you listen to your podcast? Where do you get them from?
I use Castro.
Okay. Because if you're using the Apple podcast app, that's actually gold because it doesn't matter if someone subscribes and unsubscribes. It counts. It counts as part of your overall I guess, sort of SEO when it comes to iTunes. So getting people to subscribe in Apple, well, it's called Apple Podcasts now, but iTunes, is actually really good for your podcast, even if they bail right after. So that's a little tip there. But yeah, if you're listening, I use Pocket Casts, and you have to subscribe to listen, which I don't care for, but it's good for the podcaster, I guess.
Next story is about your Facebook friend list. I don't know about you, Ray, but I have a lot of friends on my list that I haven't talked to in a while. And Tanja Hollander looked at her list, and she saw 626 friends, and she wondered how many of those that are actually her friends. So she thought about it and wanted to visit all of them. So she has documented this experience in an epic 5-year-long project called Are You Really My Friend?
Nice.
To know if you think she made this kind of a formatted show where the guest came on and she interviewed all of them, starting with the question, how are we friends?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I'm wondering, well, is this not a podcast already? How is she documenting this? And just a blog?
I believe it's a video project.
A video. Well, I like that better. I mean, in this case, but audio only. So you have both, right? If you're already doing video, you can easily make this a podcast. So I'm gonna go 4 here because she should just do it. If she has the video, she's already has the audio, and it piqued my interest. I responded there. I said, "Nice." I mean, that was interesting, and I don't know that I would stick with it. I feel like I might get bored throwing it in because really all I want to know is the answer. Like, is this person still your friend? And what was the result? I might jump to the end. I'm that person, I guess, at this point. But that said, again, like before, if the stories are good, they'll hook you. I mean, I watched a whole YouTube video today that I didn't plan to watch. I just wanted the answer. And the storytelling was good. And I watched the whole, probably 15 minutes. So I'm going to check it out for sure. And if she tells the stories, well, yeah, I'd stick with it.
And you were talking about me coming up with the names. How Are We Friends would be a decent name for the show.
Yeah, I think she nailed it because that would be, it's intriguing. How are we friends? You want to know more. I want to at least read the description of that.
Our final one is about a New Jersey woman who she got reunited with a special necklace that was thrown away when she went to the hospital. Basically, a bunch of sanitation workers dug into like piles and piles of hospital and waste and trash. And basically, she had fallen unconscious. They were taking care of her, doing their thing, and they, accidentally threw this away. So I'm wondering how viable you think a show would be that's really just based on recoveries of lost emergency room items.
Oh man, we always hear the horror stories of what people got left inside them during surgery. Like the doctor, lost his ring inside the person's pancreas. I'm obviously not a medical professional. I don't know how that's possible, but maybe it's definitely weird. And this to me is a small format, a quick show, right? This is a 5 to 10 minute show. So if you can tell me that story quickly, because I am interested, but again, I just want to know what the heck did they find? But here's the thing. Here's what I'd do with this. I'd make this a 5-minute show, and then that's the free show, right? And then I would have a Patreon where I would have bonus content, right? So the premium version on the Patreon, the reward of like $5 per month, is the full story with the person and their story connected to the thing, like the full thing, almost an interview. So I want to know what they, how something was lost, where they found it, what it was, and that's sort of the short format show that's free. And then I'd go on and bonus content for the patrons. I like it.
All right. Well, you heard that. That is that's Ray kind of putting on the consulting hat real quick there.
Thanks. I don't do consulting anymore, but I still got it. Jeff, that'll be $150.
That means it's time for
Quick Hits!
Bass DeGroot has always been a big fan of milk, drinking 3 to 4 liters of it every day. After tasting raw milk for the first time, he decided to try it other places and is now the world's only milk sommelier. What's something you could act as a sommelier for?
Oh man, I think it would probably have to be a mixed bag of dark and milk chocolate covered almonds. I love them. I can tell you the subtle difference between I get them at different stores. And I know the good ones from the bad ones. So other than that, I can't tell you much about chocolate. So I'd have some learning to do. But yeah, I'm going to go with that because they're delicious and I could just eat as many as you need me to.
I am really good at telling you where the good apple juices are.
I think I screwed mine up because now I'm thinking, I don't know the definition of sommelier, but you probably have to be able to drink it. Right?
Yeah, that might be true, but we're not really concerned. Yeah, I think this works.
All right. Otherwise, I'm going latte because I love me a good latte.
A man in North Carolina was just arrested for forcing a family to take him shopping at Target at gunpoint. What's a place you'd only shop at gunpoint?
Oh, we just need to... we can stick in the same market, and it's Walmart. And, there's no other reason for me to be inside a Walmart. The good news is I can get a gun there to fight back. So, yeah, you couldn't get me inside one, but if I was there, I happen to know there's a gun section, just saying.
Yeah, my place is also a place where I could find a gun, although I'm kind of putting dirt on the grave because they are going out of business, but that'd be Gander Mountain. I don't know if they have those in California, but they're outdoorsy kind of...
What was it called?
Gander Mountain.
Yeah, okay, because we used to have any mountains. So, no, I haven't heard of that one. But, by the way, don't play with guns. Like, my PSA for the kids listening, gun on gun violence never works out.
It never works out. A hotel in the Yukon Territory in Canada is asking for its toe back. It was a dehydrated toe that they'd put in the sour toe cocktail, a shot of whiskey where your lips had to touch the severed human digit. It was stolen recently. While they think they know who did it, I want to know what your oddest possession is.
Oh man, that is odd. It's funny because I did see this and I scanned it. I missed a lot of the details in that one. I did not realize you had to put your mouth on the toe. I mean, that's a good guy's weekend, make you do something you don't want to do. That's crazy. Yeah, it's going to take a few shots of whiskey before I want to go anywhere near that. But as I look around the studio, I don't have anything odd here in bobbleheads. But if I reach in the Wayback Machine and I think back to 7th grade, for a very small time, I had the oddest possession that I probably shouldn't even say on microphone. But I had a partially filled Ziploc bag of my own skin. No, I wasn't going Hannibal Lecter, or no, it's not Hannibal Lecter. It's Silence of the Lambs. I wasn't trying to make my own skin suit, whatever he made there. It was not a Lady Gaga thing. I had chicken pox, and this still doesn't make this story normal at all. But I'd had running a fever for a few days, stuck in a chair, staring at horrible TV, and I guess at some point, I'm going to blame it on the fever. I decided, well, if you have the chicken pox, most of us have had that. Your skin just starts to come off. You start to almost shed. And, each piece would get bigger and bigger. And somewhere in my fever-riddled sickness, I thought it would be really cool to see what the biggest piece I can get out of here is. And I remember being well and going back to that room to clean up and finding that bag.
I'm not sure that anyone I know can top that one. That was... Yeah, but now he's impersonating you. My oddest possession is something I got during one of those, kind of dirty Santa weird gift exchanges. And it is a piggy bank that is Duck Dynasty. And I don't know why such a thing was made or how I actually, got screwed into getting that, but I have a Duck Dynasty piggy bank.
You go to a different party than I do, but it was a Secret Santa type thing, and yeah, I it's just in a shelf. It really was bought, I think, to make fun of someone. So that's what I have, and I think we could sell those on eBay as a pair.
Yeah, it'd probably more than double the amount if they were sold together.
Literally, yes.
The town of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, has a new mayor. It's a 3-year-old rescue pit bull named Brenneth Poweltrow. If you were to run for office, what would be your slogan?
I'm really curious what the dog's slogan is, because I got a name. I get the name. And it's very appropriate because she names her kids very weird things. But, yeah, these days, running for office, slogans, the bar is so low. Like, all I have to do is use, like, a thumbs up emoji, and, like, I got this. That's it. Like, I mean, it's just easy here in the U.S. Piece of cake. Like, it literally can't be almost any lower. So I'm going to win with emojis. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the not quite tried and true, but should be and will be by the time I am done, because it's just pizza for life.
Yeah. Expensive, but probably works.
Yeah. I mean, pizza is something people can get behind. They are definitely going to be pumped about a Pizza for Life campaign.
Everyone understands pizza.
Well, I want to thank you guys for listening to this episode. All of you have stuck with us for the last year and a half or so. Thank you. If you want to get one of our logo stickers in the mail, and Ray, I can send you one if you'd like, just give us a call at 415-PODLINE, leave us a message, or a review on iTunes. And I guess, as Ray was saying, it's good if you guys go ahead and subscribe there. Just let us know you left a review. We'll send you a sticker in the mail. We have one out in the mail right now, actually. Today, we were Ray.
Thanks, Jeff. It's obviously a pleasure to be asked to be part of the show, and this is such a fun time. I think this is something I would sit around and do with friends, obviously, so I can see why this show would be popular. Yeah, hey, you can find me at rayortega.com is really where you'll find all of those podcasts that I mentioned. I mentioned YouTube. It's just go to rayortega.com. You'll find it there. Subscribe to Podcasters Roundtable. That's the currently active show. And as you heard, Podcaster Studio will have a complete get started. If you're hearing this, you want to start your own fun podcast, check that out as well. Thanks so much for having me on.
And I am Jeff, and we are out.
Everyone understands pizza.